Make every night a wonderful journey, no matter where you are. Good night, sweet dreams. The first story, Dream Power. It started off with a simple discovery near the end of 2011 that the REM rapid eye movement we experienced while in the dream state could be harnessed to create energy. Experts made little jokes about how there would be huge factories where people could make money just by sleeping. This discovery went on as more of a novelty for many years since the technology it took to harness the energy cost more than it was worth. It wasn't until around the middle of 2013 that we were scraping the bottom of the oil barrel. Gas stations were closed. Cars were recalled. Society was brought to a standstill. Every government on Earth was scrambling trying to find a new effective source of energy. And that's when they came forward. Dream Power Incorporated is a company that supposedly had been working on the technology to harness dream energy. The whole deal seemed sketchy, especially since no one had heard about them before. There would have been an investigation, but cities were shutting down, and the world was running out of options. So they were given all the money they would need to put up plants in all the major countries of the world. In about a month, Dream Power had become the major energy producer in the world and one of its biggest employers. It took in people of all demographics and backgrounds, even people with disabilities anyone could dream. So anyone was a potential source of energy. And it was a cushy job. Come in, sleep for a couple hours, then head home. No one could turn that down for a while. Dream Power seemed to be the greatest thing in the world. But what we didn't know at the time was that things were about to take a turn for the worse. In the early months of 2014, a discovery was made in a Dream Power facility in China. The REM that people experienced during nightmares produced twice the amount of energy as they did when having normal dreams. To most countries this didn't mean anything but China. North Korea and a few countries in the EU began research on a drug that could cause nightmares. After weeks of failure at finding a drug, they found another way, by showing the one who would be sleeping many disturbing images and videos before they went to sleep. This was usually enough to stimulate a nightmare. If that didn't work, they'd dig up their past, find some disturbing events, and play them music with a subliminal message of someone explaining the event in detail hidden inside, causing them to relive the event in their dreams. It worked, and soon these countries were putting these methods to work, causing them to produce twice the power and rise into the spots of superpowers. With this development, other countries broke down and began using the same methods, wanting to become more powerful as well. Soon every country was using nightmares in their Dream Power facilities, and everything sort of stabilized till Dream Power brought up a broad and new way of harvesting the energy of dreams. It wasn't the big clunky pods used in their facilities. It was a simple little box you could put anywhere and it wouldn't get in the way. Governments were rushing to get the contracts to Dream Power for the mass production of the devices. Dream Power was happy to oblige, passing them out almost for free. Now how they worked was that you just put it near your bed or the couch, and when you slept it could gather energy, and it got paid for how much energy he produced every week. But because people wanted to make more money, the government made the Nightmare Channel a channel of television that constantly produced disturbing sounds, stories and images. Energy wasn't even a problem anymore. It was greed. Governments wanted more energy and kept coming up with new ways to harvest it, putting the boxes everywhere in schools, buses, even under park benches, any place where someone might fall asleep. But it didn't stop there. Soon they were posting disturbing images and videos anywhere they could. You couldn't look anywhere without seeing a rape, murder, or some unholy creature staring you in the face. People were afraid and barely getting any sleep, being too afraid of the nightmares they might have, limiting themselves to as little sleep as possible. Even the world leaders who had been so gung-ho about these projects couldn't sleep. The only ones not affected were the people from Dream Power. It seemed like none of this affected them, while the rest of humanity lived in a daze. The line between the images of their nightmares and the images of the waking world were so blurred that some began to see the monsters of their nightmares when they were awake. No one knows why this has happened, except for me. It was all them from the beginning, Dream Power. I realized it between my nightmare-filled dreams and my fear-filled daily life. It happened when I broke open the stupid box and saw the truth. It's empty. There's nothing inside the boxes. It doesn't collect power. After I found that out, I broke into one of the old Dream Power plants and looked inside the pods. No circuitry, nothing to collect power. It was just an empty shell. Even the screen that showed those disturbing images was empty. I was confused and scared when I heard something coming. That's when I saw it. It wasn't human. It was about 9 feet tall. Its skin was a sickly grey purple, vein lines going all around it like a road map. Its eyes were pitch black and bulbous. The only color in them were small red dots that darted around. I assumed it was its pupils. It had no nose or ears, but it had a mouth lined with sharp fangs. I hid for what seemed like hours before it left, and I was able to slip out. That's how I realized the truth. Dreams never produced energy. Those creatures did, and they used it to control us. So we'd give them our fear to fuel them. All along they'd been feeding on us. But it's too late to stop them now. They're everywhere and nothing can stop them. The human race is now just a battery, and dreams are the source of power. The second story, the evil anesthesiologist. You're about to go into surgery, and as the anesthesiologist puts you to sleep, you feel sudden anger. Like you want to punch someone. You look into the anesthesiologist's eyes and you don't see any pupil, or cornea, or anything. Just blackness. Before you can think why his eyes are like that, you fall into a deep sleep. You would usually dream about walking through a big field of flowers, gradually picking up a few to pick the petals off. But this time you dreamed about killing everybody around you. When you wake up, you can't control yourself. You just have the temptation to hurt people. You grab the nearest weapon to you and start killing. One doctor gets away and calls the police while you just kill and kill and kill. One by one, they fall to the ground with no expression in their eyes. You handle that weapon like you've been with it your whole life. Without warning, you fall to the ground yourself, unable to move. You lie there screaming while the survivors, all bloody and some guts pouring out, gather around you. The anesthesiologist from earlier comes in and puts you to sleep, and again you fall into a deep sleep. When you wake up, you're in a padded room. You have a jacket on and your shoes are missing. There is nobody around you to hurt, so you try hurting yourself. After 20 minutes of trying to hurt yourself, you realize it's impossible to do so while you're in that straitjacket. You can't stand being in there without doing something. So you start rolling on the floor and singing random songs to try and entertain yourself. After a while you run out of songs to sing, so you start to say lines from a bunch of random movies you like. After a while, that same anesthesiologist from earlier comes in and sits down in front of you. You look into his eyes once again, and this time he has a cornea, but it's too big and is the color of a tabby cat's fur. He has a big smile on his face. Hello, Jade. Do you know why you want to kill everybody around you? You can't talk, because he looks so evil. You suddenly can't move, but you want to kill. You start rocking back and forth in the corner where you're sitting, and you start humming and your eyes are shut tight. Every time you stop to swallow spit, you close your eyes tighter. I have injected a liquid into you to make you both fall asleep and turn evil. You will never be the same again. But I made you too evil. So therefore, because you are too violent, I need to kill you. You can't say anything at all, and before you can try to say something you fall to the floor for the last time, all expression leaving your eyes as you fall. You lie there, paler than pale, and the evil anesthesiologist says, "My work is done. I must find another person to accidentally make too evil." He walks away, preparing his kit for the next time he would kill. The third story, another hospital. I don't know where I am. There's so much light. Am I dead? My whole body is hurting. I guess that means I'm not dead yet, at least not entirely. Everything is becoming clearer now, but the damned light is getting to me. I think I'm in a hospital. I'm getting up, or rather trying to. My neck aches, no matter how slowly I move it. Please stay on your back. You've been through a lot recently, a nurse says to me. I look down to my arms and legs. They were covered in bruises, scars and cuts. Necrosis gangrene is even on my toes. But how did this happen? "What is your name?" she asks me. I tell her my name, wondering how the hell I remember it, but not what happened. My lower body is feeling like it's on fire. They had better act fast if they want to heal me. "What happened to me?" I ask her. "You were almost hit by a semi. In the midst of evading it, you fell over a stump and worse, scratched by several tree branches that were laying there. The driver was a psychopath who had just been on a killing streak in the neighborhood. He stopped the vehicle and went to finish you off personally, bit of the lane not being big enough to turn his truck around. After a hard fight, you were able to kill him," she says to me, as though it were nothing important. "Impossible," I shout back, hurting my lungs in the process. "What proof do you have?" "Your own testimony. So we arrived on the scene shortly after your fight and asked you what had happened. You responded with everything I told you," she says. "If that's so, then why do I have gangrene? The stench from my battered body is unbearable, nauseating me already. This day just keeps getting worse every minute." "Calm down. So you were laying in the snow afterwards. It was winter when it happened, and your feet began to suffer from necrosis," she explains. "Now I need you to lie still. We're going to perform surgery on you." I look around my room. The door is shut tightly, and only the lights above keep the room from descending into blackness. It's growing hard to breathe every second I'm not operated on. The nurse is taking out some kind of device to perform surgery on me. She's moving towards my legs. "Wait, you need anesthetics, right? Get some for me now. I'll be in great pain if you don't." "Are you mad?" She giggles at that, saying, "We're in hell. Of course it's going to be painful.